What if everything you've ever known about death is incomplete? What if the end is not silence, but the beginning of a vast and luminous journey through the layers of your own mind? Welcome, Seeker. You've entered the Aeon Archive, where forgotten truths awaken and ancient voices whisper through the fabric of time. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, known to monks as the Bardo Thodol, is not a book about dying. It is a book about awakening, a manual for the soul as it drifts between the worlds of form and formlessness. It was never meant to be read by the living for the dead. It was meant to be read to the living through the dying. In the high, wind-swept monasteries of Tibet, monks once gathered at the bedsides of those departing this world. They would whisper the verses into the ear of the dying, not to comfort, but to remind. Remember who you are, the text says. Do not be afraid of the lights. Do not cling to what you once called your life. For what we call death, in this ancient view, is not a disappearance, it is a revelation. The body falls away, and what remains, consciousness itself, begins its passage through the bardo, the space between death and rebirth. It is a realm not of geography, but of mind, a mirror world reflecting every thought, every fear, every memory you ever carried. The Bardo Thodol tells us there are 3 stages in this transition, 3 veils that consciousness must pass through to find its way home. First comes the Chikai Bardo, the moment of death itself, the instant when awareness separates from the physical form. It is said that in this instant, a brilliant white light appears, the pure light of the Dharmakaya, the ultimate nature of reality. The untrained mind recoils from it. It is too vast, too blinding, too absolute. But the one who recognizes it, the one who knows that this light is not something outside them, but the essence of their own being, is instantly liberated. This is the first lesson of the Book of the Dead. The light you seek in heaven is the light you carry within. Yet, most do not recognize it. Fear, attachment, confusion, they cloud the vision. And so the soul drifts onward into the Coniad Bardo, the realm of visions and illusions. Here, the mind becomes the architect of its own reality. Every belief, every desire, every shadow in the psyche begins to take form. The gods and demons that appear are not external beings. They are the manifestations of consciousness itself. To the awakened, these are symbols, luminous energies, invitations to transcend. To the unawakened, they are terrors. The peaceful deities appear first, radiant, serene, offering paths of liberation. But if the soul fails to recognize them, if it reacts with fear or longing, their forms shift. The wrathful deities emerge, fierce, chaotic, terrifying. Yet still, they are the same energies, merely reflected through the lens of resistance. The Tibetan Book of the Dead teaches, the gods are your virtues, the demons are your fears. Both arise from you. And then comes the third passage, the Sitpa Bardo, the threshold of rebirth. Here, the consciousness begins to be drawn back into form, pulled by karma, by desire, by memory. Visions of potential lives appear, and the soul, guided or blinded by its attachments, chooses unconsciously. The wheel turns again. Rebirth is not punishment, it is continuation. It is the echo of unfinished understanding. But let's step back. What does this ancient Tibetan map of the afterlife reveal about life itself? If death is merely a transition between states of awareness, then life is just one phase of the same continuum. The bardo is not something that begins when you die. It is what you are already in. Every moment of confusion, clarity, fear, or joy is a microcosm of the bardo. The Bardo Thodol is not only a guide for the dead, it is a mirror for the living. It tells us, if you wish to know how you will face death, look at how you face life. When you lose a job, a friend, a dream, how do you respond? Do you cling, resist, deny? Or do you release, observe, and trust that something new will emerge? Each moment of letting go prepares you for that final release, the letting go of everything. And yet, what the Tibetan Book of the Dead suggests is radical. There is no death to fear. What we call dying is simply the dissolving of illusion. The same process happening every moment, in miniature. Every breath you take, every thought that fades, every emotion that passes is a rehearsal for eternity. Modern science, in its own language, has begun to circle this ancient truth. Quantum physicists speak of energy that cannot be destroyed, only transformed. Neuroscientists explore consciousness and begin to question whether it can truly be reduced to the brain. If consciousness is fundamental, as mystics and some physicists alike suggest, then death is not an end, but a change of frequency, a movement from form to formlessness, from limitation to expansion. And perhaps the Bardo Thodol is not describing an afterlife at all, but the unfolding of consciousness itself, both in life and beyond it. In ancient Tibet, the rituals surrounding death were not acts of mourning, they were acts of guidance. Monks would sit for days beside the deceased, reciting the verses of the book, ringing bells, and playing the kongling, a horn made from a human thigh bone, not to frighten, but to awaken. The sound was meant to pierce illusion, to remind the drifting consciousness, do not fall asleep. The Bardo journey is not just a passage after death. It is the eternal play between awareness and illusion, between remembering and forgetting. In a sense, the Book of the Dead is not about what happens after you die. It is a symbolic guide to understanding the nature of mind, the theater where reality itself is performed. The lights, the deities, the judgments, the visions, they are the mind observing itself. When we die, the text says, what we see is our own consciousness, externalized. Think about that for a moment. The heavens and hells are not places you go, they are states you create. In the West, we often speak of judgment, of being weighed or measured. But in the Tibetan view, the one who judges is the same as the one who is judged. There is no external deity handing out verdicts, only your own awareness reflecting itself back to you. The Bardo Thodol is a compassionate teaching. It tells us that everything you meet in that transition, the lights, the sounds, the beings, are there to help you wake up. Even fear is a teacher. And what of reincarnation, this wheel of endless return? The Tibetans believe that after 49 days, the soul finds a new form, guided by its accumulated karma. But they also believe that true recognition, true awakening, can break this cycle entirely. To see the light and not recoil, to see the visions and not cling, that is liberation. To the modern mind, this may sound metaphorical, but perhaps that's the point. The Bardo is not somewhere else. It is the ongoing process of reality. It is happening now, in this very breath, in this thought passing through your awareness. When you meditate, when you close your eyes and let thoughts drift by, you are entering your own Bardo. You are watching worlds rise and dissolve. This is what the monks meant when they said that the Book of the Dead should be read to the living. For to understand death, you must first understand the mind. Because the mind is the afterlife, the stage on which the infinite plays itself out in the form of a single lifetime. And if we truly grasp that, something changes. We begin to live differently, not from fear, but from reverence. For every moment becomes sacred, every encounter becomes a chance to awaken. You begin to realize there was never a separation between life and death, only between awareness and forgetting. To live with awareness is to die before you die, to awaken while still breathing. And that, perhaps, is the hidden message buried within the Tibetan Book of the Dead, that the purpose of life is not survival, but awakening. When the early translators of the Bardo Thodol carried the text westward in the early 20th century, it shocked the modern world. Here was a sacred scripture that did not promise salvation through belief, but through awareness. No external savior, no eternal punishment, only the mind, illuminated or lost within its own reflections. To the Western scholars of that time, it was alien. But to the seekers, the mystics, the poets, the philosophers, it was revelation. Carl Jung saw in it a profound map of the psyche, a journey through the unconscious, where archetypes of light and shadow reveal the hidden forces shaping our lives. He wrote that the Book of the Dead was not merely about dying, but about becoming whole. And indeed, when you look closely, the text reads like an ancient form of psychology, a manual for integrating the self. Every luminous deity, every wrathful demon, every sound and vision is a reflection of the inner world. The Bardo is a dream we all share, and the purpose of the dream is not to escape it, but to understand it. In this light, the Tibetan Book of the Dead stands beside the world's other great spiritual works, the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, the Tao Te Ching, and the teachings of the mystics, as part of humanity's long dialogue with the mystery of consciousness. It does not preach a doctrine, it describes an experience. In the monasteries of Lhasa, monks spend decades preparing for that moment, rehearsing the art of dying while alive. Through meditation, they dissolve the illusion of self, learning to recognize thoughts, emotions, and sensations as transient clouds passing through the open sky of awareness. They study the subtle anatomy of the soul, the energy channels, the winds, the luminous body, because when the physical shell falls away, that becomes the vessel of consciousness. They do not fear death. They practice it. Imagine, for a moment, living a life so awake that even death becomes another meditation. Not an ending, but a passage, a movement through dimensions of awareness you already know but rarely notice. This is what the ancient Tibetans sought to teach, that the afterlife is not a destination, it is a mirror. What you see there depends entirely on what you have seen here. And so the Bardo Thodol is not merely a scripture, it is an invitation to live differently, to meet each moment, even the painful ones, as teachers, to treat dreams not as fantasies, but as messages, to see in others not strangers, but fragments of your own consciousness reflecting back at you. Because if everything you experience in the Bardo is a projection of your mind, then so is everything you experience in life. And suddenly, the veil between the sacred and the ordinary begins to dissolve. Every conversation becomes a ritual, every sunrise, a resurrection, every silence, a doorway. We begin to understand that the journey through death is simply an amplified version of the journey through existence itself. What you bring into it, your fears, your love, your understanding, is what you will meet there. This is why the text urges us to practice recognition. When you see the light, know it. When you see the visions, remember, these are but the play of my mind. For recognition is liberation. In that single moment of realization that everything you experience, even death, arises within awareness, the wheel stops. You awaken, and the illusion of separation dissolves. From a philosophical perspective, this teaching mirrors what thinkers across cultures have intuited for millennia. That consciousness is not inside the world is inside consciousness. The ancient Greeks hinted at it when Plato described the cave of shadows, the illusions mistaken for truth. The Hindus described Maya, the great veil of illusion that conceals the divine reality. The Gnostics spoke of the spark trapped within the material world, yearning to return to the source. And here, in the cold silence of the Himalayas, Tibetan mystics turned the same truth inward, mapping the journey from ignorance to illumination, from form to formlessness. It is as if humanity, scattered across time and geography, has been piecing together fragments of the same cosmic puzzle. Different languages, same truth. Even modern neuroscience, when it peers into the mystery of consciousness, finds itself at the edge of the same abyss. What is the mind, really? Where does awareness go when the brain goes silent? The Tibetan answer, it goes nowhere, because it never came from anywhere. Awareness is not a thing, it is the ground of all things. Death does not end it, it only removes its disguises. And yet, this is not a call to reject the world. The Book of the Dead does not ask us to flee from form, it teaches us to see through it. To live fully, knowing that everything you touch, everyone you love, every moment you experience, is a ripple in the same ocean of mind. To live awake is to die awake. In the end, perhaps that is the greatest wisdom of all, that the light we meet in death has always been shining, quietly, behind our eyes. When you meditate, when you forgive, when you let go, you are rehearsing your return to that light. When you love without attachment, you are already crossing the Bardo. And when you realize that you are not the dreamer but the dream itself, then there is nothing left to fear. The Tibetan masters say, when you recognize the light, you become the light. Not metaphorically, but literally. The illusion of the self dissolves, and the infinite awakens to itself through you. In that moment, life and death are not opposites. They are reflections. Like day and night, they define one another, yet are both held within the same eternal sky. And so, what if death is not the enemy? What if it is the teacher, the final mirror showing you what you have always been? The Bardo Thodol is not asking us to believe in anything. It is asking us to remember that the one who is born and the one who dies are not two, but one. That awareness is eternal, and every form it inhabits is but a brief costume in the grand play of existence. When you look at the night sky, the stars scattered like prayers across the void, know that what you are seeing is not far away. It is you, gazing back at yourself from another angle of eternity. The same light that burns in the sun is the light that burns in your consciousness. To die, then, is only to change perspective, to wake from one dream into another. And in that recognition lies freedom. The monks say that at the moment of death, when the light first appears, it will be like the sunrise of 10,000 suns, radiant, pure, overwhelming. If you can meet it without fear, you will merge with it. If you turn away, the journey continues. But the beauty is, there is no punishment in turning away, only learning, only unfolding. Each life, each death, each bardo, is another opportunity to remember what cannot be lost, the awareness watching it all. This is why, in the ancient monasteries, they greeted death not with despair, but with ceremony. Butter lamps were lit, incense offered, mantras chanted, not to bind the soul, but to guide it. Every sound, every scent, every gesture was a reminder, you are not gone. You are awakening. And perhaps that is the greatest comfort of all, that in a universe where everything changes, awareness remains, vast, silent, compassionate, the observer behind the dream. So, seeker, when your time comes, remember these words. Do not be afraid of the light. Do not cling to the shadow. Remember, you are the one who sees them both. And while you still walk in this world of forms, live with that remembrance. Let every ending teach you how to release. Let every beginning remind you of the light. Because the Book of the Dead was never meant to teach us how to die. It was meant to teach us how to live without fear. Every breath you take is a doorway. Every silence, a portal. Every act of awareness, a step toward liberation. In the end, the path through death and the path through life are the same. One begins where the other ends, yet both flow toward the same boundless ocean of consciousness. And if you listen closely, in meditation, in dreams, in the stillness between thoughts, you may hear it. The echo of the ancient voice whispering through eternity. Remember who you are. And so, the ancient voices fall silent once more, not because their echoes have ended, but because they now live within you. Remember, seeker, knowledge is not found, it is remembered. Each question you carry is a doorway, each silence, a passageway through eternity. Subscribe to Aeon Archive, where the forgotten truths of the past awaken again, where philosophy, myth, and history converge into one endless search for meaning. Until our next journey beyond the veil, keep your mind open, your soul steady, and your curiosity unbroken, because the path to understanding the afterlife begins with remembering how to truly live.